Happy Wednesday, good people, and welcome to another edition of WWT Live as part of Women's Wrestling Talk. And you know what? I thought it would be a good idea for us to go head to head. Now, how exactly did that work? We'll talk about that and more today on WWT Live.
Howdy, folks. This is Willow Nightingale, and you are watching Women's Wrestling Talk.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling network on the planet.
Happy Wednesday to all my good people. Welcome to WWT Live as part of Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling network on the planet. I am Gerard Bonner, GB, the Professor, Teflon G, whatever you feel like calling me. I don't know that I'm all that important today because what we're about to talk about is going to be fun, all kinds of fun. And thankfully, I am not alone. I've got a full house of absolutely incredible people, and something tells me somebody's going to be mad, but not on our team. We don't get mad about this, but so be it. We'll deal with it. Let's see. Where shall we start? Let's start with the newest member of our team, who I believe was at Bad Blood. There's some funny stories to tell about that. Dion is in the building. How are you, kind sir?
Yes, I was at Bad Blood. Finally did laundry after Saturday. But yeah, super dope to be here, man. A lot of things going on. Yeah, let's do it.
Plenty to talk about for sure. And then, of course, well, it's Wednesday, but she actually has the night off because of her friends over in the land of the elite. Courtney is in the building. Courtney, how are you?
Hello. Yes, I do have the night off, but I do have a special watch along I am doing tonight because I watched NXT last night. I'm devoting tonight to watch Title Tuesday. But yes, I am, because there was head-to-head last night, but I'm doing a special watch along to get my whole reaction on Title Tuesday.
So you're still doing it tonight? Okay.
Yes, I am.
How cool is that? We're going to talk about that. That's fun. Then we've got an elected official in the building. Y'all know who he is. The councilman's in the building. Councilman, how are you, sir?
I'm so great watching people from AEW not watch their stuff to come watch.
See? We are going there because, you wait till you hear what I have to tell you.
That was excellent.
Yeah, that.
And she joined us on the watch along. I was like,
sure did. Yeah.
Oh God, take that.
Oh man, that's fantastic. And of course, we know where this one was last night. She is the purveyor of all things honeypot predictions. Wrestling with Honey's in the building. How are you?
I am phenomenal, guys. I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Happy Wednesday. Good to see my team. Let's get it.
Absolutely. And pleasant good day to everyone in the chat. T-Hawk, Pachu. I just love that name. I think that's the coolest. Easy Knot is here. Cousin Ron is here. MDB is here. Good to see you all. All right, so let's start. We know there was a head-to-head last night, and we'll start with some of what happened over on the CW on NXT. And there was a lot to talk about. Perhaps one of the most noteworthy items and newsworthy items was the North American Championship match between Obafemi and the Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo. This was, quite frankly, I think a crazy match. And some could argue even match of the night, certainly was for me. With that said, we walked out with a new NXT North American champion in Tony D'Angelo. All right, let's get right to it. What are our thoughts on this, considering that Obafemi just became last week the longest reigning North American champion, and now he is champion no longer. This coincides with his very first defeat in NXT. Dion, what are you thinking about this?
I mean, I'm going to steal Will's point that he made, but like, who else would we be okay with him beating? You know, even just watching that match, the roll up at the end, I was like, it wasn't a definitive victory. So that was a good one too. But he broke the record. He's the longest reigning. I think that's good enough, but it looks like he might go I don't know, main roster or make a jump to another show because there's no one else for him to beat in NXT. So I think it may have been time. He broke the record. He's may or might be moving on to bigger things just within NXT too. So
okay, Courtney, what did you think as you were watching this live?
I gave my reaction during last night. I did not see it coming at all because I was like, "Does this really happen?
yeah,
Is this real life? Did the Don win?" But I mean, I'm gonna be curious on how his reign's gonna end. But also at the same time, it does give an opportunity for Mr. Oba to take a break. But yeah, this one I did not even see coming. But they did deliver a good match. It was a lot of back and forth, a lot of bumps taken. But congratulations to the Don. And also kudos to Oba Femi on a wonderful reign as NXT North American champion.
Councilman, your thoughts on this one?
It was bound to happen. As Dion mentioned, I'm like, it's gonna happen eventually. I think Mick Foley Jr. beating Gunther softened this blow in seeing this, and I was just like, okay. So to Dion's point too, it wasn't a definitive roll up, and I think it's good for the Don. And I just like to Courtney's point too. I wonder what does this lead to. And the thing I suggested on the post show was, now that you're champ, no one should immediately get to you. Like if someone wants to challenge you, you need to act like the Don. Like they got to go through the family first. Then they get a shot with you. So it's just a chance to like really see him if this character is gonna work or do we finally just hang it up. But I'm okay with it. I think Oba needs a break, gets a chance to rest, and no matter what's next, if it's the NXT title or if it's a call up, like we know Oba Femi turns heads. Mm-hmm. So shout out to the Don, man. Oh
God. Honey, you have the shades on, so I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Congratulations to the Don. But other than that,
I'm not feeling it.
I don't know. This is my bias kicking in, and it's still fresh in my mind. And I was actually like jaw dropped when it happened, the actual pin. And I was like, all right, well, here we are. Now, I'm just curious as to where this is going to lead. Obviously, Oba Femi has had quite a stellar year as North American champion. He's dominated pretty much through the whole roster, except guys like Ethan Page and Trick Williams, which are the main event players at this point. If that's the plan for Oba, then I'm fine with it. But if there's not really a direction where we're going with as far as the character of Tony D'Angelo, like as far as the Rocky stuff and all of that, like I was just not feeling that. And I'm just like, why now? To what extent what measures are you taking in order for me to truly care about this character? That's what I was pretty much left with and wondering more so what's next. But congratulations to the Don. He did it clean. He pinned him. Great. Good for him. I'm sad for Oba Femi though. Very sad.
Let's see what's happening over here in the chat because let's see. MDB says Trick Williams better count his days. Oba Femi is on the loose. Special Nobody says Tony D sucks. That's SUQUES. Let's see. MDB says I can't ever be too mad at someone from Chicago winning a title in WWE. Eric, good to see you. This is a tough one. I felt like the writing was on the wall based on, how they were building up Tony in terms of these, the Rocky segments, and we're going to watch him train and all of the things. I felt like there was an out when he opted not to use the whatever the weapon was that they threw in the ring. Had he lost because of that, There could have been the disbanding of the family, or there could have been this internal strife or what have you. I guess my issue with this is twofold, maybe threefold. One, I don't think it was time for Obafemi to lose the championship yet. It did not feel like the 273, 74, 75 days. It did not feel like that at all. So there's that. The second thing is, I don't feel like Tony D'Angelo is a strong enough presentation to beat the Don. I honestly felt like Wes Lee was a stronger presentation, even though he was half of his size. It was far more believable to see him win versus Tony D. The third thing is, much to Honey's point, I still don't feel any level of attachment to Tony D'Angelo. I'm more attached to all of his family members than I am to him. Here's the thing. We saw this movie with the Heritage Cup, right? With him as the champion or whatever, and it still didn't make me care. I don't know what they're gonna have to do to make me care at this point about him. But be that as it may, we'll see how long this championship run goes. I do think there's a case for perhaps a third match, maybe at Halloween Havoc. And, whatever happens there happens. Good morning, Dylan. Good to see you. We have not talked ratings yet, but we're getting there. Please don't spoil it for me. Thank you. I almost have to say that now before people do it, because people will just come in and bloom, But yeah, congratulations to the Don. Yeah.
Is Oba taking a break? Is he really taking a break? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know. I have not heard that he's taking a break. I'm not sure as of yet. I still think it's too early. I mean, he's still in his first year. Like,
and that's a big attraction for CW too. That's a big attraction for NXT.
He is. I don't see him taking a break. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Just know when they ask you about Obafemi's reign,
he was special.
I mean, it's not like his career is over.
Right.
I just wasn't ready for the reign to be over. I wasn't ready for the reign to be over.
But it definitely means that there are some bigger things for him, which I think it's also safe to say that perhaps he's grown out of the NXT North American Championship, which is, I think, a very fair statement for him. So there were several other things that happened on NXT last night, including this match, which served as the main event. Randy Orton, Javon Evans. I'm not sure that any of us are surprised at the result. So I guess the bigger question now is, what do you think this has done for Javon Evans to be in this main event spotlight and have this marquee match against Randy Orton? Councilman.
I think it helps the other men on the roster, because you have this guy who's taking on a veteran, and you also have him now in like the triple threat match for the #1 contendership again. So it's something of like, now it's a bar that's been put up. Like, hey, if I could beat Javon Evans, who went toe to toe with Randy Orton, that has to put me now more directly into the NXT championship picture. So I can see him getting more of, like looks from Lexis King, from Joe Coffey again, and having them run that back. Maybe even him versus Ethan Page. I think it just kind of, it did what a rub is supposed to do for him. And I think that just helps the rest of the men's division start to have a bar to get set to get where they want to
go. Courtney, your thoughts on what this means for Javon Evans, this matchup?
I said this last night, and I'm going to say it today. This is his coming out party. He really shined during this match. And yes, the result was obviously Randy was going to win. But just seeing after the match where Randy acknowledged him, and it just showed that if I could be in a match with one of the best veterans in the business, then my future is bright, and I could be on this exact same level as some of the other guys at NXT. because for him to be in that match, that was definitely, even though there was a little bit of hiccups during that match, he really did. But I'm very excited on where this is going to go. And also for him to continue building that momentum after that match with Randy Orton and possibly see him in the title picture.
Well, it seems like a foregone conclusion he's in the title picture. If for nothing else, he's in the number one contender match next week, which I think will be good. Dion, let me ask you this. Do you feel like this match lived up to the expectation?
I mean, the whole time I was watching, even when they started, I started looking at the clock. I was like, oh, we're going to have about, 10 minutes for this, or 10, 12 minutes, possibly. I think it did, because I think it was bigger than just the match. It was getting Evans over to a bigger crowd. It's bringing vets down from the main roster to NXT for those rubs on for the younger talent. Hate the ending. Didn't end in spectacular fashion, but Randy, being the pro that he is, and a more mature Randy that he is now, and better professional Randy, picks him up, RKOs him, and then you can see him saying, like, I'm sorry, but Randy giving him that, again, seal of approval, right? I think that was the biggest thing out of this match. I think that's why they're going to start bringing more NXT talent down. Granted, they were in St. Louis and then Chicago the week before, so that made sense. But for this, I think for expectations, I wanted that spectacular ending, but it was still a fun match to watch when you see like an older talent versus a kid who was 4 months old when Randy Orton won his first title. So I'll take it. That's good storytelling too.
I would agree. Honey, let me ask you this question, because there's been a lot of talk about this specific venue that was used in St. Louis. What were your thoughts on the venue and seeing what they did in Chicago last week and what they've done in the Performance Center? 3 different styles of venues, 3 different sizes of venues. Which do you think is the best fit for this new era of NXT?
I think it's pretty vibing. Pretty much everything that they've done so far, leading into the new network and everything with CW. As far as to say which one fits, I'm sure even WWE, NXT is even still trying to figure that out. But they're so great at being adaptable wherever they go, because they've been doing this for so long. So now, instead of just having home base as the Performance Center, they're back on the move. So it's kind of like another day in the office for a lot of them, especially veterans like Randy. But yeah, I think the crowd was very well received in all aspects. When Randy came out, when they had the big fight feel to these matches, it's just I can understand that it's really hard, to pretty much make a match fit in like 10 minutes, especially when you want it to go beyond. Because if you put Randy and Javon Evans at least in there for 30 minutes, you're gonna have one hell of a banger. But a little appetizer for the end for us, which was really, really good. It was still a fun match to watch. The audience was very, very fun in this match as well, especially after coming off of the high with everything that happened previously. But I think NXT will find their footing as to exactly which venue they would pretty much make that home base.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. Personally, it's interesting. Like, obviously, when they're in spaces like the arenas and things like that, that's always really cool and it gives it a different look. These mid-size venues, I think, are special. And I think what we got last night, that particular venue was an incredible venue. And they've shown they can sell out larger venues, but I think the mid-size venue is that right size that's not too big, not too small, still keeps it intimate yet large, and really gives a different kind of energy. So I thought it was really, really cool how all of that went down. Boza is here. He says, I think this setup would be fine for TV, a regular arena for pay-per-views. NXT feels special out of the PC. I agree with most of that. I think NXT is special wherever you put it. And the fact that they've been able to make the PC work, I think has been phenomenal for them, for sure. So another great moment that happened last night, and I actually thought about you, honey. during this moment and even before this moment, where you had Trick and Jey Uso in the ring together, whoop that Trick yeet, which just is incredible. I want to ask your thoughts on this image. For those who can't see, it's an image of champions. It is the Intercontinental Champion Jey Uso, the Women's Tag Team Champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, the Women's North American Champion Kalani Jordan, and the Men's NXT Champion Trick Williams. What are your thoughts on this visual alone, Courtney?
The future's looking bright in NXT. It was a nice moment last night to see Jay. I mean, obviously because Raw was in St. Louis, so of course you had to see the Yeet Continental Champion there, Jay and Trick, being in the same ring and the crowd going crazy for them. Now, I don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe they could have a tag team together somewhere down the line, but just seeing that photo and also seeing that because representation is alive and well, and it makes me happy to see all these champions, especially the performance that Bianca, Kehlani, and Jay did last night in their tag team match.
Dion, I see you smiling over there. Your thoughts on this image, sir?
Well, I read a comment that said that Jay looks like the distant cousin with the good hair. Like that was a good one.
Hilarious.
That was a good one. But seeing this representation too, I mean, obviously that's been on Twitter a lot lately, the last like 2 weeks or so, between AEW and WWE. But it's a rub to younger talent. It's essentially getting everybody in that ring is over. Like, and that's the wildest thing. And they're all people of color and they're champions. I mean, this reminds me of the Jade Bianca Naomi picture, you know?
Yes.
So we've had a pretty iconic pictures when they come to this, but for this representation means a lot. And I guess HBK been looking at some tweets himself. So it was a good part on him. Good on him.
Councilman, any thoughts on this image?
Yeah, NXT is the place to be. And you can see everybody wants to come and get a taste, and it's just going to just keep getting better and better. And last night's showing showed all of that. Won't get into any details to mess up any stories, but yeah, man, this was great. And you know what this does too? Cookie, I don't know if we're gonna talk about it. I just hope this disperses any of them that question that was asked to Triple H at Bad Blood about representation. If you needed an answer, this picture says it all.
Yeah, I am biting my tongue because there's stuff I want to say on that. So
I do too. That's what I said.
Honey, do you have any thoughts on this one?
I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. We love to see it. It just makes you smile. You know, it's a lot of the big time favorites are here. You know, EST. First of all, seeing Bianca Belair in NXT made me really smile because I was like, "Damn, girl, we missed you down here. There's no shade. We missed you over here." But you know, the EST is on to big, better things. Being the tag team champ with one of the biggest signings in WWE, still TKO. And then you have Jey Uso, Kehlani on the come up. I think it's absolutely refreshing, and it's definitely the vibe. If you're not a fan of NXT, you can't sit with us. Period.
Well, and then there's that. I think it was a great moment, and again, all I will say is make sure you're fighting the right fight. That's the best way to say that, Gerard. Well said. Sorry. I had to. Given what almost came out, that was a great moment, and this was fantastic. So, what did happen last night was a head-to-head battle for the first time since all of the media rights situations have happened involving both WWE and AEW, as we saw Title Tuesday from AEW Dynamite go head-to-head with NXT. And it is safe to say, firstly, that the head-to-head battle was only for an hour. That 9 to 10 o'clock hour is where that happened, as NXT went from 8 to 10 and AEW went from 9 to 11. Now then, someone said that the numbers don't lie. And so here are the numbers. Simply put, Dynamite pulled in a total of 329,000 viewers. NXT pulled in a total of 874,000 viewers.
Woo. Courtney, I see why you can't watch it with us.
They needed you, Courtney.
They needed you. They needed you over there, Courtney.
So I have to ask this question. Normally we can hypothesize, but we have someone who has literally walked in the door waving the flag of elitism. And so I have to ask the question, on a night where they are head to head and you have the opportunity to watch Dynamite live, what is it that led you to watch NXT live and you're choosing to watch Dynamite tonight instead of live last night?
It was two reasons. Two reasons. I mean, come on. It was two reasons. I mean, come on. Javon Evans, Randy Orton, come on. That main event alone was just like crazy. And also, there was actually some good matches on there. And plus, for me, as much as everybody likes to go back and forth, I like to be in that moment and watch like one specific event. So at least I can be like, okay. And also for me, it's really hard to go back and forth because I feel like, did I miss something? Did I not miss something? Or anything like that. And also for me, I guess because I'm used to it watching it on Wednesdays, it's a habit. But for me, I know everybody kind of said, oh, last night's episode was not that great and all that stuff. I will be the judge of that, considering it's the last Dynamite before Wrestle Dream this weekend. So I will give my thoughts when I watch it later tonight. And also, yeah, I mean, Javon Evans, Randy Orton, Plessy and Kaylani, Jade, Bianca. Come on.
Wop. That's all
They not like us. They not like us. They not
Wow. Wow. Courtney, I have to say, this is so intriguing to me. It's intriguing because, again, your answer pretty much is I was more interested in what the NXT show had to offer, to the point where not even will I watch Dynamite later tonight, I'm just going to watch it on a completely different day. That's interesting to me. And the other thing that I think is interesting too, I think you make a good point. You're accustomed to watching it on Wednesday, so you did not make the move over to Tuesday for Dynamite, which I think also speaks to a level of investment that you have in the product. In other words, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but on a Wednesday night, when there is nothing specific to watch wrestling-wise, AEW is the answer. But when there is a choice, you chose NXT. Okay. I'm not mad at you.
The way he said it.
I'm not mad at you. And apparently, much like the late, great Michael Jackson, you are not alone, because about only 329,000 people last night said, I'm locked in to AEW. I also think it's a good look for NXT, who did 895 last week. So for them to only lose 20,000 viewers from premiere to the second week speaks highly of what NXT has been able to produce. So shout out to them. Okay, so what did I say? Y'all are going
the
crazy.
Shots fired, bro. The shots that were fired.
They were so subtle too.
You don't have a lot of options for wrestling. The only thing you got is AEW. I was like,
okay, so let me ask.
When you go head to head, and this happens, I'm like,
okay, so honey, let me ask you this question then, because 5 years ago, when it was a regular head-to-head battle between AEW and NXT, far more people were invested in the AEW product than the NXT product, certainly during that first run, to the point where NXT ultimately moved nights from Wednesday night to Tuesday night. I'd love your opinion on what is different now about both NXT and AEW, such that we see such a wide gap. Because even when AEW was winning the war, the gap wasn't 500,000 viewers.
No,
Half a million viewers.
Yeah.
It was not that. So what do you think has changed in the last 5 years with both products to make NXT seemingly must see when they're going head to head?
Okay, so that's a really good question. It's interesting too, because literally 5 years ago we were on the opposite ends of what was going on. Now it was just literally
Yes.
the opposite. Only NXT was moving, and NXT wasn't being viewed as much as AEW. I think the
Correct.
advantage that AEW had then was, of course, the following of those who created AEW and who were pretty much the start in it. And it was something fresh and new, and it wasn't solely entirely based on Vince's product. I think a lot of the change now has to do with this is one of the main changes, not the biggest change, but Vince being gone. NXT 2.0 was at that point in time was changing to the colors, and that was kind of his idea. Because remember, we saw some reports, and I think we had talked about it. There was like some reports where they were pretty much concerned, and Vince wanted to change the show up or something like that, and it was just really confusing. But I think now NXT has caught their footing as far as, we know who a lot of these superstars are now, due to the proper storytelling and the proper building, and the investment into, writing in these characters in the way that they have. And I think it's also the fact that you have guys like Shawn Michaels and Paul Levesque back there that are, showing face as well. You see them on TV on NXT, which of course you would hope to expect. And everybody remembers, especially those who are our age as well, and maybe a little older as well, that's D-Generation X. So if you were a fan of D-Generation X, you're definitely going to want to see what these guys are actually booking and doing weekly with these new talents. And I think that the energy of NXT has changed so much since the whole TKO signing. I mean, with WWE period, with TKO and everything like that, NXT also kind of caught wind and went with the tide and is riding that wave of ushering them in that era, which made room for the CW deal, which made room for, guys like Obafemi and Trick Williams, and, making collaborations with the hip hop community and Sexy Red. And you had the Migos there. There's a lot of factors to consider as to why the tide has kind of changed in this way. And then on top of that, you're bringing in guys like, to NXT, like who we have this year. We had Undertaker, Becky Lynch, let me see, CM Punk, and Randy Orton. You have those consistent main event players that you recognize. Even John Cena, with the retirement tour, who knows if we see him jumping on the CW. There's just a constant attraction, and they've learned to pretty much catch on to exactly what the audience wants to see. And now that a lot of these NXT superstars that have grown, Roxanne, Cora Jade, even the return of Nikita Lyons, which I'm super happy about, the growth in Trick Williams, the growth in Obafemi, the growth in characters like Axiom and Nathan Frazier. They've been really, really consistent at building the right stories and just pretty much giving the audience what they want, which was more excitement. So I mean, I shout outs to them for the viewership, because that's a big difference.
It is Dion, what differences do you see over the last 5 years between both products?
I mean, very similar to what Honey said. That NXT 2.0 was tragic from the start. It didn't feel like NXT anymore. It felt like just another WWE show. It's back in good hands now. 5 years ago, it didn't feel that way. It felt like, what are we doing with these colors? What's up with the new set? Granted, it was time for a makeover, but that OG sort of NXT feel was what got us into it. Like last night felt like an OG sort of NXT. That's what it felt like. The dark lights around it was great, but AEW was an alternative. It was supposed to be an alternative when WWE was on the downside of things, right? Now, since WWE's made this way back up, everybody else is getting the rub. Every other superstar and show is gaining popularity or getting the rub off of that too. And I wrote this down too. The AEW deal was 150. I know we're early in it. 150 million, right? The CW deal for NXT was 25 million for 5.
I think it was like
5
40
years or something like that. 40
okay.
a year.
40 a year.
So I know it's too early to say, hey, it's paying off, but at the deal that they're getting now and as high as WWE is, I think that's only going to be, that's going to be a great investment. That's a bargain probably a few years from now when we look at that for WWE and NXT there. But 5 years ago, man, WWE was not what it has been the last 2 years now, a year and a half. So yeah, we wanted an alternative with AEW. We got it. We were happy about it, but not much changed from AEW. A lot changed from WWE between that 5 years. All for the better.
Are you calling AEW a side chick? Is that what you saying?
I mean,
like
50,000.
They got themselves together, and we was like, "Hey,
500,000 people agreed that with."
Wow.
I'm not alone in this.
Courtney, let me ask you this question. Given the way AEW started and how they were quote unquote winning the war, and ironically, if you'll remember the last time NXT went head to head with AEW, Tony Khan made a couple of statements. I don't think there's been any statement regarding these ratings. My question for you is, what does AEW have to do at this point to be able to become must-see television again, such that their diehard fans will increase in number and want to watch what they're doing live? What do they need to do?
Number one, Tony should not make any remarks regarding WWE. Don't even make any remarks. Focus on your product. That's number one. Focus on your product and don't say anything. That's number one. Number two, they need to do well with their storylines. Most specifically, your women's division and your tag team division, because when AEW first started, that was one of the premier factors that made them great, was their tag team division. And that is really putting a blunt on it. And this is no shade against the Young Bucks, but how many teams have they faced really with legit storylines? I mean, outside of the Acclaimed and Private Party who beat them, there hasn't been any memorable storylines there. And once they start to build something, it kind of disappears. Same thing what happened with Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. Stokely was with Chris Statlander, and then after that, they're not together anymore. And Chris Statlander is now a babyface. So I think there needs to be a little bit stability when it comes to storylines, and also need somebody to really focus on not just the women's division, but also specifically their tag team division. And they have so many talented tag teams on that roster. And there's so much that they could build, especially when it comes to matches to Dynamite, to Collision, up into pay-per-view. Short-term storyline, yes, but just having that long-term longevity, it's really, really something. And especially, they had points. They had it with Swerve and Hangman. That was a good storyline to have. And also having Bryan Danielson leading up to All In, because he was on his road to retirement. But it just needs to be a little bit of stability when it comes to those storylines, because they have the talent to do it. It's just have to figure out what is what.
Fair enough. Councilman, I saw you over there rocking. Did you have something you wanted to add, sir?
I just can't believe Dion said AEW is a side chick.
Yeah, that
wow.
that got me. That got me.
That's
that got me.
But Courtney just said the best for all of it. Like,
Okay.
just hire Courtney and get her to do all that for y'all. Otherwise, I stick by what I say. Like, yo, it smelled like WCW all over again. And I'm not gonna be surprised if you see Triple H doing the interview and it's just like, yep, TKO is acquiring AEW.
Wow.
Yes. We bought our competition.
Oh God. 2001 all over.
Wow.
2001 all over again.
Well, I don't want to spoil too much for you, Courtney, so I'll only mention one thing, and that is last night was supposed to be a one-on-one match to determine the number one contender for the women's championship between Britt Baker and Willow Nightingale. However, Britt Baker apparently got very sick, could not attend, and so Tony Khan, which, by the way, did his first TikTok in 2 years and decided to use this as the subject of his first TikTok for 2 years. Okay. Yeah. So instead of having Willow fight another former world champion, have her fight 3. Sure, that seems very fair. Either way, Willow Nightingale comes out as the number one contender, and she will be battling for the world championship against Mariah May. That's going to happen this Saturday. Here's the question. And Councilman, I know you're not a big AEW guy, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. Does Willow Nightingale walk out of Wrestle Dream as the AEW Women's World Champion?
I mean, maybe. Ain't no story there. So never know with Tony Khan. He just may just, you know what? Willow's gonna get it tonight. And that be it. Like, there's nothing built here.
They're gonna rock, paper, scissors for it.
Saturday?
Rock, paper,
Not
scissors.
rock, paper,
Yes.
scissors.
Man.
That's what it
man.
feels like. It's just like, you know what? Both of y'all do this. Whoever win getting the belt. Like, ain't no story behind this. And it's just like, okay, you're going off of, which I think is still like leading to what we just talked about. Your problem is you're setting this up like sports bouts. Like, she won. Now it's Willow Nightingale versus your champion. Yeah, but where's the backstory in this? I get they're both great athletes, but you've built nothing to this. So with you asking me that's what this leads to. I don't care who wins. I'm not invested. Will it be a good match? Yeah. But what you asked us, I think a week ago, has continued to trickle to be the question. What do you care more about? The in-ring performance or the charisma? And as we all said, we want the charisma. There's no charisma behind this match. So I'm just like, but if I had to pick Mariah May, just because she's been doing great.
Courtney, do you have any thoughts on this? Who walks out as the women's champion on Saturday? Mariah May or Willow Nightingale?
I've enjoyed Willow so far this year. I know they met during the Owen Hart women's tournament, which was a good match, by the way. And I think there should have been, I know they mentioned it previously, like last week or a week ago, but I just kind of wish it was built up a little bit longer because I feel like there could be some chemistry there. As much as I would love for Willow to see, I do see future potential as champion. I do see her getting the belt, but not right now, because this right now it's Mariah May.
So there's a prevailing thought, and I've seen it floating around in the chat as well, that and I think this was here, Mariah May has been aimless since she won the championship. I saw someone else mention that Mariah is boring as champion. Dion, do you feel like Mariah May's reign is one that needs Willow Nightingale to become champion?
I mean, at this point, and I'm co-signing a little bit for Will, it's like it felt aimless because there hasn't really been anything there. Like it just, I don't want to take up too much time, but it just feels like I don't care. And that's bad. It's a bad thing to say, is that because I love wrestling and I'm like, I want to watch this match. I want things to succeed, but you got to give me some stake in the game, man. Like I gotta have a feeling of why I want to be there. And just as a run now, it's like just been, unfortunately, just a person with a title, or no hunt, no defense, no meat on that, no meat on that bone, to say the least.
All right.
Honey, your thoughts? Does AEW need Willow Nightingale to win this match on Saturday?
You know what? I'm gonna go on the opposite route on this. I'm gonna say yeah. I think she should, and I think she does. Because I kind of agree with some of what everyone is saying in the chat. Mariah May's story has nothing really based around it except for Tony Storm. I think that was basically what her reign and her buildup was built upon. I would prefer to see Willow as a champion because she is somebody who has been a champion before. She is someone of that stature. I would consider her a main event women's player if you're going to try to fix up this division. And she's got lots of charisma. She has great in ring work, and she could talk. And she's likable. But I just think that yeah, there has to be something more to work on as far as building up storylines and building up rivalries and such, building up that chemistry to see if you guys could actually tell a great story, give us a few best out of threes or whatever it is, whatever you got to do, something to stir up the pot. But I think that I'm also going Willow because she's born in New York, so I can't go against a fellow New Yorker as well. So
nope.
Yeah, I think this will be interesting. Certainly, I think so many of us are pulling for Willow, and given that Willow was had a top 10 year on the women's 150 last year, 250 last year from PWI. I know the new PWI 250 will be coming out relatively soon, so it'll be interesting to see where she fits on that. But I do think it's time for her to be a world champion. I feel like AEW, and I say this very respectfully, has only had one memorable women's world champion, and that was Tony Storm's third reign.
Okay.
So there's a lot to be said, I think, for that. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Again, that's Wednesday. We've got a little time before we get there. But speaking of women and women's championships, congratulations to Candice LeRae, who today defeated Io Sky to become the inaugural WWE Women's Speed Champion. I saw shades go on immediately, honey. So go ahead and please explain why the light has begun to shine in your locale relative to Candice LeRae and the Speed Championship.
It's a robbery. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I understand Candice LeRae. I know what Candice LeRae brings to the table and all that, but we know damn well EO would wipe the floor with anybody any day. Just saying there. But I would have rather liked to see EO win. Kind of try to put, that damage control, if there even still is a damage control on the map, but it is the Speed Championship and it is on X, and I don't have X, so I just congrats to Candice.
Okay. Sheesh. Councilman, your thoughts on Candice LeRae winning her first singles championship in WWE?
I'm the complete opposite of Honey. Don't you put that curse belt on EO like that, especially after she just picked up that win, because we know
that curse belt.
This still is not.
Why are we calling it a curse?
Why is it curse?
Because it's still not going to get Candice on television. We all know this.
But wait,
it's not meant to be on television.
That's not the goal.
No, it's just it. What does this do? That's all I'm saying. What does this do for Candice LeRae?
Gets the social media attraction. There's a lot of them wrestling fans on Twitter.
I think we have to get good with a couple of things. And I'm sorry to interrupt your answer like that.
No.
So wait, finish your answer.
No. You look like you about to say something dope. No, you look like you about to say something dope.
No, my thought is I think we have to get to the space, and this is what's interesting. This is where I think we as fans at times have not updated our level of expectations with where the industry has moved. So the speed champ, I've heard a lot of people when Ricochet won the speed championship, make statements like, man, I think it's completely unfair that the speed championship is not on television. And why haven't they mentioned it on TV and things of that nature? So for one, remember again, the whole concept of the speed championship is it is exclusive to X. So to keep the exclusivity, it can't be on television. That's the first part. The second part is I don't think we give enough credit to what this is designed to do. This is designed to be, first of all, a different style of match. It's a 3-minute match, and then the championship match is a 5-minute time limit. We hardly ever get a 3-minute match that goes less than 3 minutes. Like, think about this. On TV, if a match happens in 3 minutes, we say someone got squashed or they didn't get enough time.
Yeah.
But in the speed environment, the idea is, holy cow, how are y'all going to do this in 3 minutes? So there's intrigue. It's a different style of match. I think we also have to consider the amount of eyes that show up. So this match aired on X, only 7 hours ago, and it's already got nearly 400,000 views in 7 hours.
Yeah,
okay. Give it the whole day, give it a week or something along that line, and it will have more viewers and more eyes than what happened on Monday Night Raw this week. So I don't think we necessarily think about it in that regard. We think if they're not on TV, then they're not doing something. This is a win, I think, for Candice. And I think it's just because it's such a new title. It's only been around since April. Many of us have not had a chance to figure out, oh, wow, Dylan, wow. Here's a number that I didn't consiber. More views than Dynamite.
Shade.
Yo.
It got real bright in here. I need to put my shade back on.
Shade.
It's real bright in here. My God.
Wow.
Off the top rope.
So it's a different, and MDB says speed is a cool concept and it's working. It is a different concept. And it's honestly a concept unlike anything we've seen anywhere in wrestling. Nobody is doing these kinds of mini quick matches. There isn't a lot of time for in-ring psychology and all of that type of thing. We got to get it in, hit it with your big shots, and try to get out in less than 3 minutes. So I think it's a different kind of space that we still have to get used to as fans. And so, in terms of what this means, I'll also say this. It's almost like I can't remember where this conversation happened. I feel like it happened here, though, where people were saying, oh, yeah, because I think somebody in the chat had said something about someone, I don't know who it was, being relegated or reduced to main event, the main event show. And again, it's like, okay, because it's not something that you consume doesn't mean that it's not relevant and it doesn't have its, audience and things of that nature. And so I want to say we as a wrestling community are going to have to get used to what the speed championship and speed division even means. I'm not sure that many of us watched the tournament that happened, but there were some pretty intriguing matches in the tournament and the like. So I just want to throw that and add that to the conversation about speed. Yeah. So
my hate had nothing to do with the speed itself.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter tried to make me pay $14 to go live on my own thing that I've had since 2004. Fuck X.
Oh my God.
I don't like nothing that's put on X at all. And I'm a hate on all of it. Elon Musk, you can fall down a flight of stairs for trying to charge me to go use X. $14 so I could go live on my own platform. You are high at your mind. But you are absolutely correct in what you are saying, Professor. We do need to give it a chance. I will give this one a chance because it's on X. But if it goes to Facebook, I will be all in for this. But X, all that over though. You can keep all that up. How dare y'all try to charge us for our accounts we've had for over 10 years?
Professor froze.
We'll be right back.
This episode of Women's Wrestling Talk has been brought to you by All Caribbean Wrestling. Catch the wave. Go to allcaribbeanwrestling.com to check out all the latest pay-per-views or go on the YouTube page at All Caribbean Wrestling. Also, go and check out their socials on Instagram at All Caribbean Wrestling and on X at All Caribbean WR1.
Hey, yo, you. Yeah, you that's watching this. You sitting on the couch staring at the screen not knowing what you want to do like this is an online college. Are you tired of wearing shirts that make you look like an extra stuck in catering? Do you want to step your wrestling swag game up to the next level? Then Women's Wrestling Talk has got you covered. Like literally. Are you for life in pink or black and white? Or maybe you're the EST and people need to respect you accordingly. Want to put some pride in your stride and show off the muscle in your hustle? Then make sure you check out the WWT store. Not now, but right now. Alright? What you waiting for? Head to www.talkpodstore.com and don't make me fight you. Shit.
Yeah. So if you'd like to get some merch, you can scan the QR code in the upper right hand corner and check out all the cool merch that's happening from Women's Wrestling Talk. And we are now just 10 days away. I cannot believe we are this close to Fight for Paradise, the next big event from All Caribbean Wrestling. It's taking place in Nassau, Bahamas. It's going to be special. Count them, 4 WWE Hall of Famers, multiple title matches happening, and all sorts of surprises, plus an opportunity for you to win $1,000 courtesy of All Caribbean Wrestling. You can go to the All Caribbean Wrestling Instagram or Facebook page, Instagram or TikTok page for more information. I don't know who is screaming in somebody's background, but it's slightly entertaining. But yeah, All Caribbean Wrestling, cool things are happening there. And by the way, I've got kind of a sneak peek for you. If you're interested in seeing some of the action that took place at the Jam Slam show that was in Kingston, Jamaica, just a couple of weeks back, one of the matches has just hit YouTube. So you can go to the All Caribbean Wrestling YouTube page, check it out. For those who'd like to hear what it sounds like for yours truly and the boss lady doing commentary, that's your opportunity. So go check it out. Let us know what you think. But again, look out for Fight for Paradise. 10 days away, not too late for you to get there to the Bahamas. Some really, really cool things happening with All Caribbean Wrestling. All right. Now, we know that Monday Night Raw is headed to Netflix in January, and that is pretty exciting. But on top of that, what many may not realize is that several of our international friends who are watching the WWE are already watching the WWE on Netflix. They're already watching Raw. They're already watching PLEs. And from what I'm hearing in the UK, in January, when Raw moves to Netflix, over in the UK, SmackDown is moving to Netflix, and they'll be able to watch it live. Pretty much, Netflix has become the new WWE network internationally, which I think is pretty amazing. So my question to you guys is, come January, of course, when we see Raw head to Netflix, and I know there's a deal already with SmackDown on USA for the next 4 to 5 years. But is what's happening in the UK a harbinger of things to come? Could all WWE programming end up on Netflix? What do you think, Dion?
That would be pretty dope if it did. I mean, that's all in one location, all streaming. If they sort of package it together like they've done Peacock with the archive and everything, I mean, I'm sure Netflix is, let's just say, everywhere. I'll say it across the globe, across the world. That's the easiest way for them to continue being that global wrestling organization, right? So I think housing it all there, because even the Fox deal felt like it went by in a flash, like in a blink of an eye. So these next few years for SmackDown on USA could fly by And then we look up after that, they've also acquired SmackDown too. I mean, more households, man. Netflix is, I mean, in more households than USA Network, you know, and shoot, it's now I'm just thinking about possibilities because before when the network started, they finally got it right, and then they sold it to Peacock. So like right there, it felt very Netflix like too at the time. It was great. So I think going over there, having everything there, like the WWE is just reflect the same thing in Peacock, but just a way better user interface too. So yeah, I think we might see this. Boy, that's wild to say. Netflix is going to be the home of WWE. That's wild to say.
Courtney, what do you think? Do you think that SmackDown and all of the things that are happening in the UK, could that be a harbinger of things to come for the WWE?
I do think this could be a really good opportunity to have everything all in locked, because everything in the one space that would help out everybody instead of going to different channels, such as like when Raw was on USA or SmackDown was on UPN and Fox and had to figure out what time it was, and just having oh my god, are the producers' comments, but just having everything locked into one thing, it would just be beneficial. Considering Netflix is already all international, it would just be a good win. And also considering Peacock, as to point Dion, WWE Archive is all on Peacock, so everything in one spot would be a win-win for WWE.
So this is interesting, besides the fact that the chat is going crazy about Netflix and whatever wrestling move they can come up with. Let me pose this question, because perhaps we're closer to this than we think. Now, SmackDown, as we know, they just signed this 5-year deal with USA, so they're going to be on there. Right now, it looks like until what year are we in? Till 2029. I couldn't remember what year we were in. Here's what's interesting, guys. The Peacock deal with WWE ends February of 2026. So we're not that far away from this. With that said, honey, do you think the WWE network as we know it is heading to Netflix in 2026?
I think that's an absolute possibility. I think that's an absolute possibility for sure. It would be an awesome move. It's already a pretty big deal, no pun intended, considering the deal that they've made coming into January. I would actually like that, because I do like the formula of them being able to stream all of their content, even the archives, like how they have on Peacock and the WWE network. I always enjoyed that. And it would be pretty damn convenient because everything else is on Netflix anyway. So I think this would be awesome. And it just keeps, like, as to Dion's point, I would have to agree, it would just continue to keep them in that global organizational spot and being on the primary streaming source. Netflix is definitely one of the top.
So, Councilman, let me ask you this. One of the reasons why the WWE network is on Peacock is because of the longstanding relationship between the WWE and NBC, which goes back all the way to 1985. So you're talking a 40-year relationship. Do you think that the WWE could say goodbye to Peacock in 2026, or would they look to at least have some standing relationship with that streaming service?
I think they still will, just because of Saturday Night Main Event coming back. So I don't think we fully closed the deal. I don't know how it's going to look between Peacock and Netflix. If like Netflix just houses like the SmackDown and Raw, Raw for right now, and house all of their episodes, and Peacock takes care of the PLEs. Not sure, but I don't see them severing ties with them. Like, it seems like a very good relationship. I also think it helps bring dollars to Peacock and allows them to keep making like a lot of these original like shows that they're doing. So I think they're just, as WWE continues to grow in the product that it has, I think it's just growing for how it wants to expand and be everywhere and available to everybody, especially with Raw now being on Netflix. So many people now can watch it and not watch along on Hulu. Well, not a watch along, but the recap on Hulu and miss majority of the show. We can now go see it straight from our phones, everything.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to be interesting to see how it all goes down. I wonder, and again, time will tell what kind of bid Peacock is willing to put in, because I think ultimately whoever is the highest bidder and has the best deal could come away with the WWE's library. Now, speaking of Raw on Netflix, of course, that happens January 2025. But this past Monday was the first time in 12 years that WWE Raw was a 2-hour show. So I want to get your thoughts. How did you feel about 2-hour Raw versus 3-hour Raw? And which did you prefer? I know it's only been one episode, but which is feeling right to you? Dion, I see you smiling. What do you think, brother?
I need to stop.
You're like, I'm giving myself away.
I mean, it just goes to prove that I really don't know what I want. Because because for years we've been saying, oh my God, this is too long. That third hour is a drag. Oh my. And now we go back to 2 hours and it felt like I missed something. You know, it's like it felt like there could have been more. Obviously, we've been three hours, so we were missing a lot. But it didn't. The reason I felt like it worked Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, because it was just chaos television. It was like Crash TV. It had to move fast, and it showed the times. Right now, we've moved into, again, we're telling a lot more better stories with a lot of different characters. 2 hours didn't get us that last week. You blink and it was over. So again, it just proves that I have no clue what I'm talking about. That 3 hours, as much as Triple H says that third hour is hard to write for, as a fan, I'm like, thank you for drudging over that third hour to make that work since 2012. So I appreciate it. But yeah, I was dead wrong.
Courtney, your preference. Did you enjoy the 3-hour Raw or the 2-hour Raw?
It felt so quick watching 2 hours. I actually forgot Raw actually was 2 hours before it shifted to 3. So it just felt, I think it just felt a little bit rushed in a way, because it was the first time they did 2 hours. Because when I was watching Raw, it felt like a little rushed, especially with some of the women's matches and also the segment with Liv and Dom, and also didn't see much of some of the other superstars that faced in Black Blood. We didn't hear from Damian Priest. We didn't hear much from Finn Balor. There were some superstars where it didn't feel right. But I think as time progressed in the coming weeks, I do believe it would be good to do it 2 hours, because sometimes when it's 3, and even when it first started, it started getting very repetitive, especially in the main event where you had some people that faced off in the same matches or similar matches over and over again without telling a story. So I am going to embrace the 2 hour mark and hopefully do a better job with less fast procedures.
Okay, Councilman, 2 hours or 3 hours?
Man, bring my 3 hours back. 3 hours back. I would say same thing Dion say. I remember when everybody was complaining, 3 hours is too much. And I was like, nah, 3 hours gonna be fire. Now everybody's like, bring back my 3 hours. It's not just felt so quick. Yeah, that's what happens when y'all always keep playing. 3 hours. And here's the reason why. Because you're gonna miss out on so many superstars that are there. So we're definitely gonna miss out on our tag team division that ain't necessarily there either. What we didn't get to see American Made or Alpha Academy, and they're usually within that 2 hour mark when you have that like I consider the mid card hour. We didn't get to have that really. You got only one representation of that, which is Xavier Woods and Jey Uso, and then a few more other ones. And then it's like, okay, now we have to take 8 women and they only get one match, and we're going to put them in there, and we're going to make that a beef that's going to end right here. And it's just like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
But you need 3 hours because that's your flagship show, and y'all have been pumping out the better storyline matches outside of the bloodline or anything to do with the tribal chief. Y'all put out the best shows. So I'm like, yo, bring the 3 hours back. Keep SmackDown at 2. Don't ever do that crap again and tell us it's 3 and it wasn't. I'm better now about it. I'm better. But yeah, I prefer Raw to be 3 hours.
Honey, your thoughts?
I'm not gonna lie, I love my 3 hours. I got greedy and stingy and spoiled for the last few years of my life, but it's okay. There's pros and cons to it being 2 hours in any way you slice it, but I think that the biggest pro for me personally, from my perspective, is that it gives us room to kind of like not forget about superstars, but to keep things cooking and keep things as a surprise. You know what I mean? It's just, sometimes, as you said the other day, Professor, less can be more. And they would just have to pretty much figure out how to pretty much not scrunch, but pretty much put together a whole 2-hour show instead of the normal 3 hours, which they've done before because they already have the experience even with SmackDown, and it used to be 2 hours. But yeah, I prefer my 3 hours. I really do. I really, really do.
These comments are all over the place. So let's read what we can. Boza prefers 2 hours. That does not surprise me. MDB says 3 hour Raw usually requires more electrolytes. Eric likes the 2 hours. Lewis likes 2 hours. Dylan says 2.5 hours. MDB says y'all didn't appreciate what we had. Jeffrey says those 2 hours went by very fast. Dylan says 3 hours is a breeze when it's done right. MDB, I'm in the minority of people who didn't like the change to 2 hours. Of course, 2 hours and chill. It felt focused, but a little short. It didn't feel rushed. It felt fast paced. Let's see. There were some technical difficulties in the 2 hours too. I thought Uncle Howdy was messing with the production. Yeah, it was a very rare moment of technical issues, and so I would love to see what comes out of that. Let's see. Jeffrey says I do like getting out at 10 than 11, and I understand that. Joe says sometimes less is more. 3 hours is a great fit when it's done right. Sometimes less is more. Just ask my ex.
I didn't think you could read that.
I didn't think so
caught
either.
Oh, golly. I just kept going, and all 3 shows are now 2 hours across the brand. Yes, they are. And that actually makes me wonder, can you call Monday Night Raw the flagship show if all shows are now 2 hours? I think the 3 hours help to make it distinguish itself as flagship, but that's not the case. Now, what's interesting is this is supposed to happen until the end of the year. I've heard conflicting results or reports on when we go to Netflix, if it's going to be 2 hours, if it's going to be 3 hours. We'll see how it goes. But this is going to be, I think, very, very interesting as we step into what's to come. So very, very interesting times for sure. Now then, speaking of interesting times, if we love DX, as some say we did, they decided to revisit history. They, of course, during some of the high moments of Raw, as Raw really started delving into the Attitude Era, had their own State of the Union. And that State of the Union spoke to words that they would not use during certain hours and certain words that they would use during other hours. Well, they gave us a 2024 version of that for NXT. And let's just say it was very entertaining. Dion, what did you think of this State of the Union from NXT's, heads being DX?
It was so good. It made me go back and watch the original right after it. But I remember, like, while I watched, I was like, I remember more of this than I should at this moment. But no, it's wild to see. Like, these are the two guys, the faces of WWE and NXT. And when we look back at that first video of them with China, you're like, these guys are gonna like talk themselves out of wrestling. You know, like they're gonna be out of it, but now they're running it. It just brought a smile to my face, man. And the fact that they played up like the I guess I'm gonna age myself, the lingo or slang of the day, or the words that they will or will not say. It was really good. It looks like everybody in WWE is having fun, and when it looks like they're having fun, that's the best for us. So I absolutely love this.
Totally agree. Courtney, what did you think of the State of the Union address?
I did not get a chance to watch it, but I did hear from the comments people did enjoy it. But it did because I don't want to make anybody feel old, but I was probably like about 6 or 7 when DX was first coming out. But it was nice to see the throwback video when they first started it with China, and they kind of did a picture of it. But I am going to watch it after this.
Okay. Councilman, what do you think they said without saying with this State of the Union address? Because again, at the original one, during the days of Monday Night Raw, they were saying things with and without saying it. What do you think the read between the line statements were here for this State of the Union?
Oh, I gotta swallow my pride a little bit when she called the first State of the Union a throwback video. I'm like, oof.
Man, what?
Yeah, I feel like I just got slapped in my face, man. Like,
oh, man.
Like we were all just calling it the video, but the throwback video. Like,
the throwback.
Or the original video, you know?
Like I remember I was there when it premiered. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's where we are. That's where we are now.
But it was her saying, "I don't want you guys to think I'm calling you old." Oh, okay.
We get it.
Like we got it.
Okay.
I don't know the lingo too well, so I don't know how they go do this. I don't know what I knew what he was like when you cooked. I was like, this is the funniest stuff.
And that he's
vegan. I think too, maybe not even to have to read between the lines. I think it's just really kind of like catching up with the times, like letting people know, like, yo, like, yes, this is the I want to make sure I say the generation after millennials, Z and X and Y and Q and plus sign. I know. No one of them got a little mechanical thing in there now, plus sign vision. I don't know. But it just shows that, you know, like these are the ones that we're also trying to adhere to at NXT, which I don't think is the wrong thing. I think it's y'all being able to do what y'all have done for a long time, and that is look at the mirror of what's going on in real life and how to translate that into your product. And I think just having still blowing my mind, the two dudes that sprayed DX on top of the WWE building now are running it. Like it's like Zach, and I guess I'm finna show my age more. It's like AC Slater and Zach Morris running Bayside. Oh.
Right.
I pushed back a little bit when I said that.
Oh shit.
Oh. That blame to you, Courtney, for this one. Woo!
Oh boy,
definitely got us. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good that they did it, and you're just showing like, hey, we acknowledge all of you. We're not staying in the past. We acknowledge the future, and this is how we move forward with it. So I just thought it was good all around. And to Deion's point, I think Deion said it's good to see everyone having fun, like they're glad to be there.
Honey, your thoughts?
I mean, you can't have the word fun and wrestling without these two right here, because these two are the epitome of having fun and mixing wrestling at the same time. I was absolutely floored seeing this video. I just lost it because I knew exactly what it was tributing to. I knew exactly I remember where I was when I first saw it. And now it's just like, wow, you know, you two adorable old farts, you continue to keep booking and keep killing the game because we just love it. We love it. There's nothing that these two can do wrong for me as far as the way they've been booking. They're just doing such a phenomenal job. I think it's just their way of just being like, is this good? Okay, keep watching because we got more. We're gonna mess your head up by the end of this year. That's all I took this as. And I was just like, well, I'm ready for the ride. And I'm always down with that.
Shawn Michaels took me out when he was like, I don't even know where I'm at on this thing. Like,
and that part, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like it works so good because their chemistry and they've been friends for decades. And they you know, Shawn even joked about this on his Hall of Fame speech. Like they call each other their road wives because they've hung out with each other more than they've hung out with their own wives. They've been on the road forever together. So it's just to be able to see that organic humor and because Shawn probably wasn't even supposed to say that. He's like, I forgot what I'm reading. Like, he probably actually forgot and he just played off. But that's a lot of what Generation X was built on. And to continue to see it happening and unfold right before our eyes, even at this day and age with them, they're legends in the game. Legends.
The irony of this, and most people won't figure this out, but so based on what they wore and where they were, they taped this in Chicago when they were together last week for NXT. And first of all, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's clear that they are paying attention to the culture, paying attention to what's current. They made sure they were going to use as many hip hop references as possible, basically letting you know what this life on the CW is going to look like. But I think the irony that this video dropped a couple of days after whoever the person was asked that question in that press conference says to me they were already ahead of whatever you deem an issue because they had recorded this before you even asked the question.
Right.
So there clearly is a connection to the culture and them intentionally not trying to act like they are current, but being like it was
great.
It was so good.
Works. It's so good. And again, it says to me why, and I've said this before, I kind of want, there's no kind of to it. I want the internet wrestling community to take after Triple H and become cerebral assassins. I want us to start using our brains and putting 2 and 2 together and actually getting 4 and not putting 2 and 2 together and getting 16. Okay. Yes. So with that said, I think this is a brilliant move. Clearly people are watching what's happening here. They know who their target audience is. They are going after their target audience, which is why you see a Sexy Red on NXT and why we see some of the other things and references that we see. It's a great moment. And it says to me that this version of WWE is doing what WWE did in the 90s, which is figure out who their target audience is and go for the jugular.
Yeah.
And I think that is an incredible space to be in. So congratulations to NXT. Now, remember, if you're looking to watch Dynamite, it is not airing live, but I do believe that Courtney said she will be doing a watch along right here at the top of the hour. So if you want to make it feel like it's a Wednesday, you can go ahead and join her on this watch along. And who knows, this will actually potentially raise the on-demand numbers, which I think are just as important for people who are watching that because they they really do pay attention to the on-demand numbers as much as they do the live numbers. So by all means, do that.
Our ratings, our ratings here at WW Talk Pod matter too. Councilman.
They do.
No, I'm just like everything he says sounds like shade.
Oh my god!
I don't think
if you want to stick around and watch,
I mean, now it sounds like shade. You saying it like that sounds.
I can't do.
Oh gosh. Well, Councilman, how can the people find you? And yeah, this is hilarious.
You can find me on my new handle, Those Ratings. Woo! Or you won't find me on all of my socials. And just make sure you catch me here Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. On Tuesdays for the Tuesday Night Pharaoh NXT Watch Along and Post Show. And then coming soon, I can't speak for one of us, but I know I can speak for me. Thursdays has now become all Trill Championship Wrestling. That's right. I have spoken with the main boss, and TCW will be returning, and it now has an additional home outside of my own YouTube and Twitch. It is coming to the Women's Wrestling Talk Network, and it will be on Thursdays.
Nice.
All right. Dion, how can they find you?
Yeah, over on the All-Star Fandom Show on TikTok and Instagram, over here on YouTube as well. Will, I haven't picked a day yet, but we're still going to do one tonight on All-Star Fandom Primetime Championship Wrestling. That takes place, maybe about 8:05. We're like TBS around here, 8:05. But yeah, we're doing that on tonight. I guess I'll pick a day to be on WWT too, because we'll be streaming PCW here too. So yeah. Let's check those ratings. All right.
Well, apparently you can tonight since AEW is not airing according to the press.
Well, but I didn't program that. I didn't program that. Now I will say this, and I just don't know what to do with this, and probably throwing this out there isn't helping at all. Was it? I think it was 365,000 for Dynamite this week, right? No, I'm sorry, 329,000 for Dynamite this week. Jesus. For Collision on Saturday, it was 269,000.
Damn. Oh, son.
Wow. Okay, honey, how can the people find you on these good socials? I'm alarmed by these numbers.
I didn't know that one, man.
I am alarmed by these numbers.
Maybe Sexy Red need to go to Dynamite. Maybe that'll get them numbers up.
Oh my Lord. You know what? Anyway, you can find me here Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays with the WWT Live crew. Don't forget, every Friday we have that Honey Night SmackDown watch along. This week's going to be a good one. I cannot wait for this Friday. I really can't wait for this Friday. And I hope you can either. But we will be there for the watch along with Women's Wrestling Talk. So make sure you check that out. Follow me on Wrestling with Honey TikTok, Wrestling with Honey Instagram, Facebook, Wrestling W Honey. And don't forget to tell your friends about the sweetest podcast around that's going to be coming to your screens real soon, the Wrestling with Honey podcast on YouTube.
Courtney.
I'm laughing at Dylan's comments. Oh my goodness. They can find me here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on WWT Live. I will be doing a special edition of All Elite Wednesday of Dynamite from last night on Title Tuesday. I will be doing a watch along this Saturday for Wrestle Dream. I will be doing a watch along for that. So it will be in Tacoma, Washington. So that will be fun. And also feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram on @CourtneyNJ11, where I do have content and my latest adventures that I have in the works.
Awesome sauce. Well, you guys can find me at Bonnerfied. All kinds of fun things happening there on my page. Yeah, we're getting ready for Southern Honors 6-year anniversary, which is this Friday. Jake the Snake will be there. Kimberly Page, one of the original Nitro girls, she will be in the house. Paul Walter Hauser will be there. It's going to be a really amazing show. So that's happening this Friday. Next week, of course, I will be in the Bahamas with All Caribbean Wrestling. The following week, I will be in Charlotte with Ashe Wrestling. And very soon, you guys will be able to check out the last Ashe Wrestling show. So stay tuned for that. And the next Ashe show is called Ashe 6. It'll feature the debut of Khan, who you guys have seen on AEW television. Again, you can go to the All Caribbean Wrestling YouTube page for some great matches that are happening there, including the first look at the Jam Slam from Kingston, Jamaica. I had to think about it, where there's a match with TK and I on commentary, so you can get a chance to check out what that chemistry is like. So be on the lookout for that. Speaking of TK, of course, this is Women's Wrestling Talk. Check us out at WW Talk Pod across all of the social spaces. Check out the website, www.talkpod.com. Get your merch, do all of the things. We have lots of shows, a watch along everywhere you turn around. Have we finished our watch along series for Mr. McMahon yet?
No.
Okay, no worries. I just didn't want to push it if we've done that already. So
No,
not
we
yet.
haven't.
We still have the final 2 episodes.
Hey, you know how
Okay.
the boss lady, you know how TK gets, man. You know, she's all around the world, man. You know, never
She
know what
is.
She worldwide.
God
yeah,
bless
you
her.
know. Yeah.
So let's see. All Caribbean has a hype video for the women's championship match. Yes, it's going to be a great match. Kalia Capri and Maserati. Some really great matches are happening. JTG against the Pope for the All Caribbean Wrestling Championship. Lots of cool things happening there. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out to all of you in the chat. Boza, Jeffrey, Dylan, Pachu. I like saying it that way. Cousin Ron, Special to Nobodies, MDB, Zach. There are lots of you guys and some beautiful numbers that I'm seeing here. So thank you all, Eric and all of the team, for joining us. There's just nothing like conversation with you all. I absolutely appreciate it. Make sure you're hanging out with us here at Women's Wrestling Talk, where we are the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. Peace.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.